Hello guys, welcome to my channel Chem Insider. So in today's class we are going to discuss the last topic of structure of atom chapter. So in this we are going to discuss how to write the electronic configuration of a given atom. So in the previous classes of yours might have studied the electronic configuration concept where you used to write down the structure of electrons in terms of K, L, M, N shells, right, in the form of 2 electrons in K shell means helium atom, such as like that. So now in this class we are going to learn about how to write the perfect electronic configuration of a given atom with certain number of electrons present in it. So what you have to remember here is all the basic rules which we have discussed in this chapter, especially in the last few videos, that is Aufbau's principle, Pauli's exclusion principle, and then we have discussed about Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity, etc. So what happens in this case of writing an electronic configuration is, an electronic configuration of a given atom can be represented in two types. One is, we can write the subshell with respective subshells where the electron enters, which is SPDF. So whenever you consider an atom, we'll start with hydrogen and we clearly say that we are adding up electrons for the given hydrogen atom in order to increase its atomic number. Once the atomic number increases, the name of the atom changes. So hydrogen, on adding one electron to it, will get helium. Similarly, so on for that. So therefore, what you have to remember always is, we are going to use two types of method where to write the electronic configuration. In the first method, we are going to consider only our N, L and M. That is the first three quantum numbers. Those are principal quantum number, azimuthal quantum number and magnetic quantum number. Okay, so we are going to use, mostly we just use N and L, and sometimes we use M also. But in case of the other expression of writing the electronic configuration, we consider all the four, N, L, M and S, all the four quantum numbers. Usually whenever you have to discuss the complete structure or components of a given atom or its respective compound, we consider the second method of writing an electronic configuration. But in general, if you have to write down a simple electronic configuration, we prefer the first method where we consider just principal quantum number, azimuthal quantum number and magnetic quantum number. So how is that to be written? So if you are considering an atom, let us say an atom of X with some p number of electrons. Okay, it has certain p electrons, let us say not p, we will consider a number, let's say 12. Okay, so let us say an atom of X has 12 electrons present in it. Okay, so what you have to do is, first you have to consider the Aufbau principle of writing down the electrons or subshells or orbitals in the increasing order of energy. So how does that happen is, we will start with 1s, 2s, 2p, 3s, 3p. Instead of 3d, we will get 4s because of 3d having more energy when compared to 4s. So therefore 4s, and then comes 3d and so on. Okay. So now, in order to fill up the electrons, see, if you observe in the given step itself, we have used principal quantum number N value, N is 2, here N is 2, that is for L shell, N is 1 for K shell, okay, and then we are using 3, that is N is equal to 3 for M shell, and 4, if N is equal to 4, then we use N shell, right? So clearly we are using the first principal quantum number. Next, by denoting the subshell S, S, P, S, P, S, D, etc., we are using our azimuthal quantum number. Okay, so in order to not get confused with the repetition of azimuthal quantum number, what we do is, we write its respective principal quantum number next to it. Okay, we write its respective principal quantum number along with the subshell in order to avoid the confusion because of multiple S subshells. Okay, so if you observe here, we have only one S subshell and we have only one 2S subshell and we have only one 3S subshell. Okay, but if you consider just the subshells, we have 3 here, 4 here especially. Okay, if we write down its principal quantum number, we will clearly avoid the confusion of that multiple S subshells arising. Next, similarly in case of P, we have 2p and 3p with the respective n values, principal quantum number values. Now, how to give electron for each of the orbital? For that, what we observe is the number of m. Okay, so if you consider 1s, so 1s means the value of L is 0. Okay, 1s means the value of L is 0. Therefore, for every L is equal to 0 value, ml can have one value and each value can have 2 electrons in it, right? Each value can have 2 electrons in it. So therefore, 1s carries 2 electrons. So therefore, 1s carries 2 electrons. Okay. Now, if you add one more electron to the 1s orbital, it won't take any electrons in it. That is because there is no space for that incoming third electron entering to the 1s orbital. So what it does is, it goes to the next lower energy level, that is our 2s. As 2s can carry 2 electrons again, because 2s implies L is equal to 0, therefore the respective ml value will be 1 value, it will have 1 value. So each value of m carries 2 electrons again. So therefore 2s will be filled with 2 electrons. Next for 2p, L value will be 1. Okay, for 2p L value will be 1. That implies ml can have 3 values, those are +1, 0 and -1. Each of the values of ml carries 2 electrons, 2 for +1, 2 for 0 and 2 for -1. Will get total of 6 electrons on p orbital. Okay, so this is how you write down. And for 3s we will have 2. So now if you observe here, we have 12, atomic number 12 means there will be 12 number of electrons. So we have clearly filled the 12 electrons in the given electronic configuration. So the electronic configuration of atom X with atomic number 12 is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2. And the rest is ignored because there is no electron present in it. So therefore, we will not consider the rest which has no electrons in it. In order to consider a given orbital, it should or it must contain at least one electron present in it. Let us say if I take for x is equal to 13, if I consider x is equal to 13, we have filled 12 electrons here, then we will consider 3p which has at least one electron present. Okay, so the superscripts which I have written here, that is either 1, 2 electron, 6 electron, etc. is nothing but the total number of electrons in which the given orbital is having. Okay, so the superscripts which you have written on S, the superscripts which I have written on the subshells denotes the number of electrons, present in the given orbital. Okay, so total number of electrons present in the given orbital. So this given orbital has a limitation for number of electrons to be carrying in it. So those limitations are S can carry just 2 electrons, P can carry 6 electrons, P can carry a maximum of 6 electrons, D can carry a maximum of 10 electrons, and F can carry a maximum of 14 electrons. Okay, F can carry a maximum of 14 electrons. So this is the first method of writing an electronic configuration. In the second method, what we do is, instead of writing this type of 2s, 1s orbitals, what we do is we'll write the boxes, that is the number of orbitals present, the total number of orbitals present. Let us say for an atom x is equal to 7. For x is equal to 7, what we do is we write down the orbital. S orbital has one suborbital, S subshell, 1s subshell has one orbital whose ml value is 0. Okay, next again for 2s, ml value is 0, that is just one value, one box. Next for 2p, we have 3 ml values, those are +1, 0, -1. Okay, next for 3s, we have ml value equal to 0. Next, again, if you consider for 3p, you have three values of ml. ml is equal to +1, 0, -1. If you consider for 3d, it has 5 values. Those are +2, +1, 0, -1, -2. Okay. So now if you observe here, we are using principal quantum number n, we are using azimuthal quantum number L, we are using magnetic quantum number ml, and for denoting the number of electron, if it is completely filled, then it carries 2 electrons, one with upward arrow and one with downward arrow. So the upward arrow means +1/2 spin, upward arrow means +1/2 spin, whereas the downward arrow means -1/2 spin. That is, upward arrow means positive spin, downward arrow means negative spin. Okay, so clearly we are using all the 4 quantum numbers. So this is ms, right? So we are using all the 4 quantum numbers. Those are n, l, ml, ms. Okay, so if you write the electronic configuration in this manner, you are using all the 4 quantum numbers. In the previous case, we are using just 3 quantum numbers: principal, azimuthal, and magnetic. Okay, so next, for x is equal to 7, we have filled 2 electrons. That means we have left with 5 more electrons, right? So we'll write 2 electrons for 2s because it can carry 2 electrons in it again. Now we're left with 3 electrons. Now for filling the electrons in 2p orbital, we have to remember our Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. That is, we need to have maximum multiplicity. That means we don't have to pair the electrons until all the orbitals are carrying 1 electron each. So that is, if you write in this manner, for 3 electrons to be filled in 2p, what happens is we have an empty 2p orbital. Since that is not allowed, what you have to write is, you cannot pair the electron in the first itself. Therefore, first you have to fill all the orbitals with 1 electron each. So once you have filled this, then we have obtained a maximum multiplicity. So unless these orbitals are completely filled, the electrons are not going to pair up. Okay, so this is what we are going to observe in case of filling up an electron using a Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. Next, what we are going to observe is, we will write down certain electronic configuration of certain metals and certain elements. We will observe if there is any changes occurring. If there is not, we will go through that. First, for the electronic configuration of hydrogen. So hydrogen, its atomic number is 1, right? Hydrogen's atomic number is 1. So the electronic configuration will be 1s1. The electronic configuration of hydrogen will be 1s1. For helium, it has 2 electrons in it, that is, the atomic number is 2. So the electronic configuration is 1s2. Next, for lithium, atomic number 3, 1s2. Since 1s2 is completely filled, now it has to go for the next shell, that is with orbital 2s1. Okay, total of 3 electrons. So similarly, if you go down writing all these electrons, like if I write in between boron, it has atomic number 5. It has electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p1. Next, for if you consider for neon, with atomic number 10, it has 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. Okay. Next, if you consider for sodium, 11, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. So what we are going to observe over here is, if you observe the periodic table, from hydrogen to all the elements present, so if a given orbital of a given element, if you consider until noble gases such as helium, neon, argon, krypton, helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon. So these noble gases have their electronic outermost shell completely filled. That is, their outermost orbital will be completely filled with their maximum number of electrons. So if any orbital or if any element such as helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, which have their outermost orbital completely filled, then those complete filled electrons are called core electrons. So if atom has completely filled orbital, if atom has completely filled orbitals, if atoms have completely filled orbitals, then the electrons present in those orbitals are called core electrons. Then the electrons present in those orbitals are called core electrons. And if the electrons present in the orbital are not completely filled, let us for example consider lithium. So it has unfilled s orbital. Similarly, boron, it has unfilled p orbital. Okay. If you consider a shell of a given electron, if you consider shell of a given atom with unfilled orbitals, so then this lithium atom has one valence electron. So what is this valence electron? A valence electron of an atom are those electrons belonging to a shell which is not completely filled. The valence electrons are the electrons which belong to a shell whose orbital is not completely filled. Like for example lithium, it has one unfilled orbital of 2s. So therefore the number of valence electrons for lithium is 1. In case of boron, the number of electrons in the valence shell is 3. The number of electrons in the valence shell, that is our shell 2. Okay, so it has 3 electrons, so for the valence electrons in boron is 3. If you observe for neon, it has a completely filled orbitals or shells present in it. So therefore the valence electrons present in neon is 0. The valence electron present in neon is 0. And if you consider for sodium, the valence electron present is 1, because the valence shell has 1 electron in it. So therefore it is 1 valence electron present in sodium. Similarly, if you consider for chlorine, its atomic number 17, it has 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p5. So the valence shell has 7 electrons, and therefore the total number of valence electrons in chlorine is 7. So similarly, each of the valence electron of a given atom corresponds to its group present. If you consider for the group 1 elements, the number of valence electron will be 1. If you consider for a group 2 element, the number of valence electrons will be 2. Okay. And if you consider for the group 13 elements, which is also called as group 3a, are 3. Okay. And for carbon group, which is a group 4 elements, have 4 atomic number 4 valence electron present in it. That is, carbon with atomic number 6 has 1s2, 2s2, 2p2 configuration. So the number of valence electrons in carbon is 4. So those electrons which have completely filled orbitals are called core electron, and those electrons which have unfilled orbital, then those are electrons are called valence electron. Okay, so this is about valence electron and core electron. Next important point what we have to observe is, once you come across an atomic number 20, what we observe is, after atomic number 20, we observe a particular shift in the electrons present or electrons going to an orbital. That is because once you reach atomic number 20, the 21st electron or the atom of 21st, if you consider potassium, so potassium atomic number is 19, potassium's atomic number 19. Before potassium we come across argon with atomic number 18. So electronic configuration of argon is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6. Okay, so this is the electronic configuration of argon, and whereof potassium is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s1. So clearly we can observe a change here. That is, instead of the electron going for the 3d orbital, it goes to 4s orbital. So this change is because of the n plus L rule, which we have discussed in the previous video, right? So whenever we come across a state where energy of an orbital depends upon its n plus L value, then we consider the n plus L rule. That is, if the n plus L value of two or more electron shells are same, then we consider that which has a greater value to be written after, and one with the lesser value should be written first. So According to the n plus L rule, electrons have to be filled with an increasing order of n plus L values. So n plus L nothing but the principal quantum number and azimuthal quantum number, which we have discussed in the previous class. So clearly 4s comes before 3d, therefore we write 4s first, and once we have filled 4s with complete 2 electrons, in case of calcium with atomic number 20, it will be completely filled with 4s2, and the next one, that is of scandium. Scandium with atomic number 21 has electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2 and 3d1. Okay, so now we come across a new series of element, that is the D series. Okay, so that's why what we observe is after atomic number 20, that is from 21, we observe electrons entering to a new shell, that is a 3d shell, which is already entering the 4s electron first. So 4s electrons will be first filled, and then we come across the 3d orbital. So now if you write down the electronic configuration for 3d series element, that is from atomic number scandium 21 to 30. If you write the electronic configuration of atoms with atomic number 21 to 30, that is scandium, titanium with 22, vanadium 23, chromium 24, manganese 25, iron 26, cobalt 27, nickel 28, copper 29 and zinc 30. If you write down the respective electronic configuration, what we observe is instead of writing all 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, what I'm going to do is I'll write the symbol argon here, which represents the electronic configuration of 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6. 18 electron systems are completely filled with argon. So therefore I'll write argon here. So it means electronic configuration is starting from 1 till argon, and then we are continuing from there. Argon, and then comes 4s2, 3d1 for scandium. Okay, argon has 18 electron, 18 plus 2, 20, 21. Similarly, argon, 4s2, 3d2 for titanium, 4s2, 3d3 for vanadium, and argon, 4s1, 3d5. Okay, and then we have argon, sorry, 4s2, 3d4, we'll keep that first. 4s2, 3d4, we have 4s2, 3d5, then we have 4s2, 3d6, 4s2, 3d7, 4s2, 3d8, 4s2, 3d9, 4s2, 3d10. Okay, so this will be the electronic configuration. But what we observe is in case of chromium and copper, we observe a slight change in the electronic configuration. In case of chromium and copper, we observe a slight change in electronic configuration. That is because of the half-filled and completely filled stability. That is because of half-filled and completely filled orbitals stability. Half-filled and completely filled stability. So what is this half-filled and completely filled stability is, if you write electronic configuration of chromium in the different order, the second type, what happens is we have 4s with 2 electron, and we have 3d with 5 orbitals, in which we have 4 electrons in the first 4. So what happens here is, if any orbital is requiring just 1 electron to be half filled, so that is, if we have one empty orbital in a given d and we have one electron, a pair of electron in the s orbital, what happens is the electron present which is paired with the another electron in the 4s orbital gets shifted to the empty 3d orbital. Okay, the electron present in 4s gets jumped to empty orbital of d. That is because if you consider over here, this is of a higher multiplicity, right? This is of the highest multiplicity. What happens here is, once the electron gets paired up or unpaired by the s orbital and jumps to the d orbital, we have 6 electron with positive pairing. We have 6 electron with positive spin. If you consider the previous structure itself, like here this, that is, we have just 4 electron with positive spin, and these 2 electrons are completely spin 0. Okay, and adding those two will get the spin 0. So therefore, according to Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity, we should get an electron with a maximum multiplicity of an atom. So therefore, the electron present in the 3d orbital jumps to the electron present in the 4s gets jumped to 3d or empty orbital of 3d. That is because of it can form a half-filled stability. So what is this half-filled stability is, if you consider an orbital other than s, the electron present in them favors forming an equally symmetric of electrons. The electron, if you consider p orbital, d orbital and f orbital of an atom, if you consider p, d and f orbital of an atom, then those orbitals usually favors symmetric collection of electrons. That is, if you consider the previous of this, so we have 1 paired electron and we have 4 unpaired electron. So this is clearly asymmetric, right? We have 1 pair and 4 unpaired. So what happens is, once you shift this electron to this position, we have symmetry on all the valence electrons. That is 4s also has 1 and 3d has equal 1 electron in each of the orbital. So this gives rise to symmetry of the d orbital. This gives rise to symmetry of d orbital. This symmetry of the d orbital is because of half-filled electrons, that is, 1 electron present in each of the d orbital, called as half-filled d orbital. So the stability of this half-filled d orbital is more when compared to the stability of unfilled d orbital. So therefore, what happens is, in chromium, instead of writing 4s2 3d4, we write the configuration as 4s1 3d5. So the electronic configuration of chromium is 4s1 3d5 but not 4s2 3d4. Similarly, in case of copper again, we have 2 electron in 4s, and 9 electron in, and we have 9 electron in 3d. So here again the symmetry of 3d comes into play. We have 4 paired electrons and 1 unpaired electron. So therefore the symmetry of 4s doesn't matter here. It forms with the pairing of 3d orbital to form completely filled d orbital. So here the stability of the d orbital is because of complete filling of electrons in the d orbital. So therefore this type where the d orbital is completely filled is called stability of a completely filled d orbital, which is in case observed in the copper 29. So therefore electronic configuration of copper is not 4s2 3d9 but it is 4s1 3d10, because half filled orbitals except of case of s orbital, pdf, half filled pdf and completely filled pdf are more stable when compared to any other orbitals of a given atom. So therefore if you consider half filled orbitals such as p3, d5 and f7, so these are more stable, and again p6, d10 and f14 are again more stable. So out of all the orbitals of different electrons present in them, p3, d5, f7, p6, d10, f14 are more stable. So what is this stable means? It means it will not react with much other component easier. Okay, so it will be completely inert with other components if it has a configuration as such as like this. That is p3, d5, f7 or p6, d10, f14. So in your textbook you will find the different electronic configuration of different atoms. Go through them. You can also find out some of the elements which have this half filled and completely filled variation. You can come across that. If you have any doubt about those electronic configuration of those given elements or atoms in your textbook, please do comment down below. And if you have understood this concept, please do subscribe to my channel and share this video among your friends. Thank you for watching.